Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. Chris Matthew, very happy to be here with artist, researcher, and now documentary filmmaker Jim Nichols. Jim, your presentation was very amazing.
It was fabulous, wasn't it?
Yes, it was great.
Thank you, thank you. It was great fun. I had originally planned to do that as a lecture, and at the last, I mean, literally at the last minute, Bob Brown says, called me, and he says, "Oh no, I thought it was going to be a video." He said, "Jim," he said, "No, I want a video." So, oh, okay, well, so I scrambled and put it together as a video production, as a documentary, and which I'm actually more comfortable doing documentary than a straight lecture, and it turned out rather well. I was really pleased. I had showed it a month ago to my meetup group down in Tucson, and only 10 people showed up, and half of them slept through it.
Oh.
I said, I'm giving you guys this free chance to watch my video that you would have to pay to see in Laughlin.
Right.
Oh, that's wonderful. And they slept through it. So I thought, I was really, God, is it that bad? But the audience here was, I'm pleased to say, it was very well received. I'm very happy.
Now, in your film, you stated that you started out, just painting scenery that was around you, but it was Close Encounters that kind of reignited your passion for the UFO field, and that's what got you started.
Well, you see, I'm a kid of the 1950s, so I grew up with all classic science fiction movies that Forbidden Planet and The Day the Earth Stood Still and Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Those are my favorite movies as a kid. And actually it was Hollywood that the visual experience of Hollywood that made me drew me to visual media to begin with. So I became an artist, and then I was in the military. It's very one of the rare people who actually was able to finish a correspondence course in commercial illustration while serving, in the military. So I came home, got relocated to Tucson, Arizona, which was a radical change for me because I grew up in Ohio, Flatland, Ohio. And Tucson, Arizona was like going to an alien planet. It was that exotic. And so, but I fell in love with the landscape. I fell in love with the southwestern landscape. And that's what I love to paint. And I painted for about 5 years. I did southwestern landscape art until I got totally bored with it. And so you can only paint so many saguaros and cactus and mountains before it gets kind of tedious. So I thought, I need to do something different. So that's about 1977, and that's when the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind came. And that reignited my fascination with ufology and Hollywood, and it's like I want to be able to create artwork that touches these same themes. So that's how I got involved with science fiction art to begin with. Then later that evolved into UFO illustration and UFO research.
And eventually you got to meet Colonel Wendell Stephens, and you got to actually depict the Billy Meyer encounters. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, as I was doing paintings that had been science fiction art that had been displayed at the Flandreau Planetarium at the University of Arizona in Tucson, and I was very pleased that it was so well, the response there was so nice. But I was always looking for more material. You're always looking for more material to keep your imagination, your creativity stimulated. So I was in a Walden bookstore one Saturday afternoon in the spring of 1980, and was going through the science fiction books and the art books and so forth. And there was this big full color picture book called UFO Contact from the Pleiades. And on the book cover was this beautiful photograph of a real UFO. But a UFO photograph that was spectacularly clear. And, you know, UFO photographs up to that time were random and they're fuzzy and they're indistinct and they really don't prove anything. But this is a picture book, right on the cover was a crystal clear photograph of a real deal flying saucer, right? Broad daylight. I thought, well, it's probably too good to be true. It's probably not real. But for what I was looking for, this is the kind of visual material or visual reference for the kind of art that I wanted to do. So picked up the book, flipped through it, and discovered that it was a folio of photographs of a legitimate UFO case in Switzerland that was being investigated by a retired Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stephens, who just by the merest coincidence happened to live in Tucson, Arizona also. So I think, well, this is a guy I'd really like to meet. And up to that point, I had no contact with UFO investigators at all. I didn't know what they were like. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So through a synchronous association of friends, I got an invitation to meet Wendell Stephens like about 2 weeks later. So it's a Saturday morning. I get in my car and he lives clear on the other side of town from where I live. And I'm driving, I think, this guy turns out to be a real flake. You know, one of those guys that puts the aluminum foil on his head and talks to the Space Brothers. And, you know, that's not what I'm looking for. He was nothing like that at all. Wendell Stephens was a retired retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Air Force. He had served in World War II. He was a combat pilot. He was still a professional pilot. He had served at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, and his expertise was foreign aircraft technology. See, he wasn't a slouch at this. This was like this kind of stuff was really serious business to him, and he at that point had the world's largest collection of UFO photographs, and that was his claim to fame. And he had discovered this story, this case in Switzerland about Billy Meyer, and he had seen the photographs that Billy had taken, and his first response was like mine. He says, "These pictures are too good to be true. These are crystal clear pictures of flying saucers as if the pilots had actually posed the ships for the photographer." So Wendell decided, he contacted APRO, he contacted MUFON to see if they were interested in investigating the case. And no, they didn't want to spend the money to go to Switzerland. So Wendell said, you know, if this is authentic, we're looking at the most important UFO contact case of all time. And he says, well, if you guys aren't going, I'm going. If I have to pay out of my pocket to go, that's what I'm going to do. And that's exactly what Wendell did. So, he flew to Switzerland thinking that he was going to blow the lid off the whole case. He was going to prove it was a fraud. He was going to prove that Billy Meyer was a hoax. And to his utter astonishment, he says the more he researched the case, the more he got to know Billy Meyer, the man, the more he spent time with Billy and going to all the sites where Billy had taken the photographs and landing tracks and all the evidence that Billy had accumulated. He couldn't debunk it. And the more he studied it, the more authentic it became to him. So over time, you know, Wendell just convinced himself that this is a legitimate case.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
You then talked about your depictions of the German UFOs. Those are beautiful paintings, and one of them was your more famous painting. And I found it really interesting at the end. You showed the stamps that were supposedly proof of the German UFOs, and they were your paintings.
They're my paintings. Yeah, all the paint. There's a series of alleged German stamps that show the German saucers, and it has Deutschland or Deutsch or whatever on it, on each of the stamps. So it looks like they're legitimate German stamps with flying saucers in them, Nazi flying saucers. And we look at it and says, wait a minute. There's 6 images, and 5 of those I know I painted after 1991. So these can't be authentic German stamps from World War II. So, and this is kind of a scandal on the internet. It's like you can see how somebody has taken my art and fabricated it into a hoax. But those are my paintings, and they are not legitimate German stamps from World War II. Okay.
Right. Yeah. One of my favorite parts of your presentation was when you were talking about the psychological misinformation campaign that the government is doing to us right now with this whole UFO disclosure thing. And I thought you were right on. Tell us, what's your thoughts on this whole misinformation disclosure thing, the TTSA, all of it? They hired a rock star to disclose UFOs to us.
Tom DeLonge.
Right.
Mr. Credibility.
Yeah.
The problem with disclosure, and this is my presentation, is really to kind of focus on what the main issues in disclosure are that really can't be talked about. And I can appreciate that. It's not a simple matter of yes, UFOs are real, yes, aliens are real. It's much more complex than that. And you have to understand that the government's position would be, if aliens or Germans or whoever has this kind of technology, whoever possesses UFO technology can use that to control the world. This is like the quintessential weapons technology. And it's like any government would want to get their hands on it and have exclusive control over that, right? So this is one of the deep state's greatest secrets. And knowledge is power. And it's like, if you give away your knowledge, you give away your power. So I don't see that the government is going to give away disclosure and give away their power anytime soon. And that also includes, well, what if we did get that technology from extraterrestrials? What if it's not even our technology? What if it's an extraterrestrial? What if these extraterrestrials aren't even friendly? What if they're using this technology to control all of us? Oh, we're just going to go public and tell it to everybody and scare the bejesus out of it? No, I don't think so. So it's like these are the most delicate, the most politically explosive secrets in probably the history of the human race.
And you talked about what happens to people who actually try and make these technologies and bring this information to the forefront, like Tesla, like Ralph Ring. They get shut down, and they try to be erased from history, basically.
Right. It's like, well, the government policy is that nothing out of the ordinary exists. So if somebody like Nikola Tesla or Ralph Ring or Otis T. Carr actually stumbles onto this kind of technology, it's like you have to erase not just their research, you have to completely diminish their credibility. And so once again, it's like you're protecting your power, you're protecting your control militarily. Okay.
I've also found it interesting when you were talking about AI. Do you think that AI could be a possible invasion right under our noses?
I'm very suspicious of that. And back in 1997, we got to interview Colonel Philip Corso. Of course, he was the author of the book Day After Roswell. And one of the main points he makes in his book, of course, Colonel Corso allegedly had access to some of the material that was recovered from the Roswell crash. And one of those items was a microchip. Okay. But he got to thinking about the microchip and how, well, from 1947 until 1997, he had seen the proliferation of this technology all through our culture. And he was speculating that, well, what if the microchip technology was like a Trojan horse, where a really clever alien wouldn't attack you with, photon torpedoes and phasers. They would very subtly insert their technology and insert their consciousness into our civilization, into our society, in a way that we wouldn't even recognize it, or we wouldn't recognize it as a threat. And if you look at the proliferation of computer technology, everybody's got a smartphone. I was on a flight yesterday from Tucson to Las Vegas, and for the whole flight, nobody bothered to open their windows.
Yeah, everybody's glued.
All the passengers were playing with their smartphones. It's, don't you want to look out the window? It's nice outside today.
Right, if there was going to be an invasion.
That is how insidious, incredibly insidious this technology has become. We can't live without. And I'm as guilty as anybody. It's like, I have my computer, I do work on a computer, and it's remarkable how you can expand your own consciousness, you can expand your own skills, you can expand your own knowledge. It's so insidious how you just get sucked into it. And so my question is, and with some of the things like Elon Musk is talking about, artificial intelligence is the greatest existential threat to the human race, even more so than atomic weapons. And I think he's spot on. He said, this is incredibly dangerous. But we just gobble it up. We just let it completely take over our entire lives. And at the end of the day, it's like you wake up and say, wait a minute. Does my refrigerator control me? Does my smartphone control me? It's like if I want to shut off my smartphone, will it shut off my bank account? It's like, how far will this go? And it's like, we're right there at the cusp of that right now.
Yeah, there are some terrifying and fascinating things happening.
Exactly.
You also said that you don't think disclosure would come from our government, maybe not until 70 years from now. I get the feeling that there's something big under the surface that wants to come out. I see a lot of people awakening. I see a lot of people kind of coming around and realizing the things that are unknown. So I'm wondering if it'll come from another source.
Well, I think there is a spontaneous phenomenon that's happening across the board right now. It's a social phenomena where people are waking up. But it's a spontaneous thing. And the alien consciousness that wants to take over here can't deal with spontaneity. It likes everything in a box, everything controlled, and the human consciousness is slipping around that. So you have this chess game where, well, we'll control consciousness here, but it'll pop up here. Well, we'll control it here, well, it pops up here. So it's like, that is a really incredible phenomena that we see, exploding right now. And 2020, this year, 2020 is like the nexus point where we're either going to survive as spiritual beings, or we're going to be completely taken over and turned into like a cyborg hive mind.
Yeah. Now, you also said that you've never seen a UFO.
No. Let's qualify that.
Okay.
I've never seen a flying saucer.
Okay, a flying saucer. Okay.
I've seen UFO. I've seen weird lights in the night sky, and I say, so what?
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't impress me at all. They talk about the Gilliland Ranch and all the funny lights in the sky. I could care less. What I want to see is a real deal, Billy Meyer kind of flying saucer, parked in my backyard. Why go out and kick the tires and say, yeah, this is a real machine, a real machine. It's like, do what you like with your little lights in the sky, but they do not impress me.
Now, I myself, I've never seen a flying saucer, and I haven't really seen that many anomalous lights. But I'm kind of looking forward to the night sky watch tonight. I'm going out there with the vision goggles, so hopefully I'll get to experience a little something that I can't explain. You know?
I'm sure I would bet that you're going to see something tonight that would be classified as a unidentified. Like this thing is not acting like a satellite. It's not acting like an airplane, and yet I have no idea what it is. So that there it is. It's an unidentified flying object. And that's fine. That excites you? Do it. But to me, as I've seen them, it's like, so what?
Right.
Unless I can interact with it, and unless they want to come down and talk to me, give me a ride on their ship.
Maybe I can call one down tonight. Maybe, I can get that footage for you.
I would qualify that. You know who John Lear is?
Yes, I talked to him.
You talked to John Lear. Well, I don't know if he told you, but one of my paintings shows this beautiful flying saucer. It's a guy out in the desert. He's all alone. This beautiful flying saucer is coming down at night, and he's just bathed in light. John Lear says, if that ever happens to you, he says, run like hell. Get the hell out.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, Jim, thank you so much. Great presentation. Great talking to you.
Pleasure. And I'm just delighted to meet you here at the conference this year.
And then,
hope to see you next year.
I'll probably be here, and you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Okay, thank you so much.